listening to the Astral Hour. I'm your host, Astral Meadow. Join me as we take a glimpse into the mysterious. Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm joined with my friend Jill Hahn. She is a health coach with a passion for supporting others in reaching their goals towards wellness. Her holistic approach considers all aspects of living, mind, body, and spirit, with a focus on honoring the individual. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to make it out and I could finally meet you in person.
Same.
Yeah. So, could you share a little background on yourself and your spiritual journey with us?
Yeah. So I'd say about 10 years ago, I was really being introduced to some really cool energy people that I'd never met before. And I was like, wow, maybe that's really interesting to me. Maybe someday I'll study Reiki or learn about that. And out of the blue, I was having lunch with a friend and she said, Teresa's having a Reiki class in 2 weeks. Why don't you go? And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. And I did. And it changed my life. And I haven't looked back since. I've gone on to study all kinds of Reiki and other energy work and getting attuned to so many things. And I love it. And it's allowed me to really help others as well as myself and my own family. So I'm really thankful for it. And I'm still growing, still learning all the time.
Right. I love that. I really feel like Reiki, and I think one of the girls on my show said this, is like the gateway modality, and there's just something about it. And I think it's just like it connects us back to ourselves, like when we experience it, and there's just something magical that happens with Reiki, and it just sort of helps us take off. Like we're in alignment, and now we can, like, what's next, right?
Yes, it's empowering. It also helps you learn about yourself and your energy, and it's just very healing on all levels.
Right. Yeah, I love that. What led you to want to become a health coach?
So after I had my second child, they're now in their 20s, I couldn't lose weight, and I'd never had an issue with that before. So I was really confused. I was eating the same, living the same way, and I came across a book that really struck me, and it finally made me realize what you eat affects your health and how you feel. And I really took that to heart, and I immediately just was throwing food out of the house and changed my lifestyle at that time. That was about 20 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I've continued to learn and study. I studied macrobiotics for a while and just nutrition and functional medicine, and just really used that to help me and my family grow in just all the ways we heal. So,
yeah, beautiful. I really struggled after the birth of my daughter. She was my second child. The first pregnancy, I bounced back. I was, like people feel like, I can't believe you just had a baby, The second one, I was struggling with a lot of low blood sugar, and then I had to eat a lot where everyone else has like high blood sugar and they have to like watch it. I was having to eat all the time and I didn't want to. Okay. I wasn't even like craving it. It would just be like, I'd start to feel sick. I have to eat. I gained like 50 pounds.
wow.
And then after she was born, I gained like 10 more. And I was like, this is so, like, it was affecting me so bad because I just had this mindset that, yes, I'm going to gain some weight, but then I'm going to have her and, I'll be able to bounce back. And, she's about to turn 3 this month. And I finally feel like I have a similar body type to beforehand and that my mental health is finally back to a balanced state.
I can totally empathize with that.
Yeah.
What I found though is that people were wanting to know what I was doing, and and I saw an opportunity to help others. I not even knowing what I was doing, I started having cooking classes at my house. I didn't even have the right kind of knife, but people were coming. So as I went through my journey, I saw the need to share it, and I wanted to share, and I saw the interest, and that's what really got me started, was just seeing others interested in what I was doing. And it really empowered me to work on myself and improve myself so that I could help others more.
Right. And figure out like the root of some of these issues, you know? Because for me, I was exercising. I was on I was like doing treadmill regularly, and I was trying to focus on my diet and all of these things. But eventually, I found out I had food sensitivities. So eliminating some of those helped. And then doing some Whole30s really helped because I was able to find the triggers that didn't just show up on allergy tests, but that cause the inflammation, you know? And then I just like fell off, you know?
You said the magic word, and that's inflammation.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own source of inflammation, and that's what I help people find. And it's very customized. How can we reduce your inflammation?
Right.
And it could be a combination of things. It could be the food. It could be movement. It could be, and it usually is stress. No one thinks how important stress relief is. You cannot heal totally with chronic stress. So we really need to work on that.
Right. And another thing that I discovered was I was sleep deprived. I was not sleeping, and I couldn't lose the weight. It didn't, like, there was a point where it didn't matter what the diet was or anything, because I was in such a state of fight or flight all the time. Like I would have panic attacks in my sleep, you know, because the baby's crying, you're breastfeeding, you're up all night. Like I started, you know, struggling really bad with the mental health from the sleep deprivation, which I felt like there was nothing I could do until she started sleeping a little bit more soundly.
Sometimes there's a situation you just have to work around and do your best. But it's interesting. You saw that the change. Yeah, sleep is vital. That's when we're creating hormones, the hormones that make you feel full. I mean, you're creating when you sleep, and you really, that's a big source of reducing inflammation, is getting a full 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And it's hard, but readjusting your life to make that happen is really vital for your health.
Right. I had to, and I still do sometimes have to beg my environment. I'm like, I know you guys run on, you know, less sleep, but I really do need a lot of sleep. And I also have this 12th house stellium. A big thing is like silence, and you need sleep like longer than the average person. And so if I don't get like 9 hours of sleep, I feel like I didn't sleep at all. But my kids and family, you know, they seem to be fine with like 7 hours of sleep. They have this energy, it lasts all day. But it's so much more important than I think people realize. We stay up, we watch TV or look at our phones, and then we have a hard time, you know.
Sleep hygiene is something that I talk about too. It's a big piece. Not looking at screens an hour before bed so that the melatonin can naturally increase. And there's a lot of simple things that you wouldn't think would help your health that I really help remind people of.
Yes, I love that. Let's talk a little bit about how you combine the diet, lifestyle, and Reiki together to support your clients. And what is a consultation with you like?
So I guess I can kind of answer this at the same time. My consultations it's very customized, and I have can talk with someone about whichever area they're deficient in, or we just figure that out. I'm kind of intuitive about helping them with what I think can help them, the best. Food is obviously very important. I don't like the word, diet, like we were talking about, because it's temporary. Right. But having a whole food, anti-inflammation way of eating that's very nutritious, and even talk about the timing when you eat, how much you eat, and it's all very customized. So we definitely talk about nutrition. And lifestyle habits is all part of it. Reiki, if that's something they're interested in to help with stress relief and healing, whatever someone needs, I'll introduce. I don't have to talk about the energy work if that's not for them.
Right.
But as far as food goes, we really need to find what does not create inflammation for you. Mm-hmm. I have a little saying, you can't have pain without inflammation. You can't have disease without inflammation. That is the root cause. But help you find what is that root cause for you. And as you reduce the inflammation, you reduce weight, you reduce illness and not feeling good, and all the good things happen.
Right. And there's so much where it's connected to my mental health. Like I'll start getting brain fog. I'll notice every now and then I'll step aside from the anti-inflammatory around the holidays or birthdays. And I let myself eat whatever I want, because there's just a point where like you want to experience pleasure in life. You want to be able to eat with other people.
Absolutely.
And I already have like all these food allergies. So I'm like, every now and then someone will make me a meal and it'll have sugar in it and I'll eat it. But I'll notice if I get off of it too long that my mental health will start suffering. And like, you don't think about it, I don't know if everyone's connecting the dots with what we eat and our mental health, and also dehydration. And so sometimes I'll feel like I'm feeling really depressed and I'll make myself just stop right there and drink some water, and I'll actually feel better so quickly, but I didn't think of like, oh, I'm dehydrated.
It's so important. And it's with dehydration, what a lot of people don't realize is it's not the drinking of the water, it's having the electrolytes and the minerals in the body to even retain the water. So,
Right.
So we talk about getting electrolytes as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you support like adrenal cocktails and things like that? Is that
For fun, sure.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's a balance. It's not one thing 100%. You find a balance of all kinds of things because the body just is trying to get back in balance. It's trying to heal 24/7.
Right.
We're doing things that are helping it or not. So I try to help someone's body get back into balance so that it can kick in and start healing itself.
Right. Yeah, the adrenal cocktails I do if I feel like I'm drinking water but I'm like still really thirsty, or if I've just gotten over an illness or something like that, and it really will, like, I'll feel like I have energy again.
Then that's your answer.
And that's the electrolytes.
Everyone really can feel for themselves, and sounds like you're very in tune with your body. Not everyone is, but I help them to listen for the cues, listen for the signs, because if you don't, the signs just get bigger.
Right.
If you don't do something about it. And you mentioned the gut health. It's getting more and more noticed, but it's really a huge part of our overall health. If we're not just because you eat something doesn't mean you get the nutrition from that.
Right.
If your digestive system's not working right, you're not getting those nutrients. And also there's a gut-brain connection. So most of your neurotransmitters, your feel-good hormones, your dopamine, your serotonin, they're actually produced in the gut, not the brain. So it's vital. Gut health is vital. Plus, it's your immune system. So I do a lot about helping people heal their guts.
Yes, I think that it is finally being taken seriously. And it's not, we're just talking about probiotics and people think we're weird or whatever. And we're like, no, it's, our whole culture, we were just given antibiotics a lot. Like, doctors are finally pulling back and thinking, okay, maybe we don't need to automatically go to antibiotics, especially if it's viral or something like that. But when I was a kid, if you were sick, you went home with an antibiotic just in case. And I think we're having to replace some of that. We think, oh, bacteria is bad. We've forgotten that there's good bacteria too,
Right. And there's a place for it. There are other things that you can do as well. There are essential oils, there are supplements, there's food, there's fermented food, there's so much, there's fasting, there's rest. A combination of all those can help you. What everyone's done in the past of all of humankind, that when we didn't have probiotics, there are a lot of things we can learn from other cultures and from the past as well.
Yeah, I started adding, I want to say kefir. There are people on my show said kefir, but I think it's kefir technically. But it was I would almost say it's life-changing how it's helped me digest food. I don't get heartburn anymore.
Wow.
I add it in, like if I have anything with orange juice, I make sure I add a little bit in, and I don't suffer anymore from that. But I have a very, very sensitive stomach, and that kefir unlocked something for me.
Well, fermented foods is a missing piece, especially in the U.S. Other cultures have their fermented foods. There's kimchi, there's sauerkraut. We don't have that as part of our regular diet, and that's missing.
Right.
So that's a key to gut health and to our health is fermented foods.
Right. Yeah, and I'll notice if my belly's like bloated, or if I'm feeling weird in my belly, then it's almost immediately I'll start getting brain fog. I'll get kind of dizzy. Like, it's so interconnected for me. And
well, you get your sign right away. And there are digestive enzymes as well that can help. And taking apple cider vinegar. There's so many things to try, which is great. There's not just I have to have a medication, or there's just one thing to try. There are a lot of things to see how your body works with it.
Right. I'm to the point in my life where 99% of my issues I heal with my diet or movement, or, like maybe it's an herb, or maybe it's adding, more magnesium, but I feel like I'm finally to that place where I know I can feel it coming on, and it's like I know now.
That's beautiful. And that you know that, and you can even be preemptive and preventative. Right. I'm all about preventative. Right. We don't have to wait till you feel bad to do something. Go ahead and get some healthy habits and be preventative. That's how I've approached my life and my kids' life. Just be preventative, and then if something happens, it's even less severe, and you can recover faster.
Right. Yes. And I definitely could have used someone like you on my journey because I was hitting all these roadblocks all on my own. And, I was going to doctors, and, I'm not anti-doctors. Like, I needed them to take some blood work. I needed their expertise. But what I was finding is that they would kind of just diagnose and just leave you sitting there, and I'm like, I want to heal. So then I would start, I had an herbalist or energy workers and acupuncture and things like that. And it was when I was, connecting with some of these more holistic approaches that I was starting to be like, okay, maybe my mental health is connected to my physical health, and maybe my spiritual well-being, has a lot to do with what I'm eating. Because when I went more organic, took the fluoride out of my water and more fermented foods, and I started doing Kundalini yoga around this time, and it was just like I just felt really connected to my inner being and my soul, and like it was all unfolding, and I was like, wow, I think we have to look at all of it.
I love it. I love that you connected all those pieces and that you found that for yourself. That's very inspiring. And then that's my journey as well. As I came across something, I tried it and found how it made me feel. And I was like, I'm going to keep that.
Right.
And you just keep trying and adding the pieces that work for you.
Right. But you're just kind of like that one-stop shop where you have studied all these different modalities, so where you can really look at that person and say, okay, even if you're not an herbalist, where to send them. So you can help guide them and just be their support, because there was times where when I was in my process of healing, I was really alone, and sometimes I would be scared. I did some detoxes, and I think because there's like mental spiritual connection, when I was cleansing my body, I don't know if I was prepared for some of the deeper emotional wounds that I had buried in with all of this. So as I was cleansing the body, as some of these other things started coming up, and they were ready to be released too. And
detoxing, and I like to use the word cleanse.
Right.
Detox, sometimes people think it's kind of extreme, but you can detox out emotions and have nightmares. And there's so many ways that what needs to leave leaves you, and it could catch you by surprise. So I try to help guide people through any symptoms they might be feeling on their healing journey. Since all the things I experienced and radically experienced, I can help them ease them through it.
Yes.
And I do a lot of holistic practitioners and energy workers, so I can also just help give a referral to someone that might be a really good fit for that person. Right. So my goal is to empower you to heal, whatever that looks like for you at the rate you want to, and by the means you want to do. So I just want to be a vehicle to help.
Right. I love that. Let's see. Why do you think so many diets don't work for people, and how does lifestyle play into this?
Well, diet infers a temporary way of eating, so you get a temporary result. And I don't think that connection's made. They think, I'll do this diet for a little while, lose the weight, and then I can go back to my old lifestyle. Well, you get what you do, right? So if your lifestyle dictates your health. So I don't like the D word, diet, like we said. It's really, someone has to be ready to put their health as their number one priority, or they're not going to be able to have the motivation to make the long-term lifestyle change.
Right.
Now, some people want to do that as baby steps. Great. I'll help them with baby steps. Some people, like I did, I went cold turkey. I cut everything out at the same time. And wow, did I have a lot of detox symptoms. But I was excited about it. I was like,
Right.
yay, there's this pain. What does that mean? I was so happy because I knew I was healing.
Right.
But not everyone's like me.
Right.
So lifestyle is everything. All the things we talked about. You can't separate any one from the whole. Sleep and food, supplementation, stress relief, motivation, inspiration, joy. All of those create the healthy person. So I want to work on improving all of those to the max for them.
Every January I do a Whole30. And I do them throughout the year, but what I've found is what works for me is taking like a week or two off in between and then getting right back on. And because I really am sensitive to most of the foods. And so there's a couple little things like, I don't even know, these words that are on the back of something that might be a chemical that they've added or something. And I'm a little more relaxed as far as like I let myself eat out and I'm not reading the label. So because I've done so many of these, things now, but I have made it a part of my lifestyle. I was able to, when I take that week off, I'm like, oh, not feeling too great. Gonna get back on. And so, I think allowing myself those moments of, just enjoying food, because I get kind of bored with what I'm eating. So every now and then I'm like, I just want some, I have a gluten sensitivity. So it's a gluten-free pasta. And like, it just feels good. It's like comfort food. And I'll also, even if I'm in the middle of like a Whole30 and I'm hit with a big wave of depression, I might let myself have some comfort food. But it's because I do it so often that I don't actually consider it like this strict 30 days anymore, because I trust that I'm always going to get back on, because I'm going to start feeling ill so soon once I start eating like the sugar and the corn and those kind of
the
foods.
Inflammatory things. But
Right.
you found your balance and that works for you. But you're right. You absolutely have to have joy in your life. And I love to help people find ways to eat healthy that taste good to them.
Right.
Because I taught gluten-free cooking classes for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And I can make healthy food taste good, and really pride myself in that. So this journey should be enjoyable. So your taste buds really do change a few weeks into changing how you eat. So then you're more open to trying new vegetables and new things, and you're tasting differently. So I let people know that. And I just have a slew of resources and recipes and ways to help be easy, simple, and taste good, because you want to enjoy life.
Right. I really appreciate people like you that have organized some of these recipes and help, because I'm a very creative person. I'm an artist. I have all these other forms that I create with, but in the kitchen, I have this like roadblock, and I just like it. I don't know. I'm not like, oh, this spice goes with this, but anytime I get a good recipe or someone cooks for me, I'm like it lights up all these, these tastes. And I'm like, I guess I do like food. I just, I end up eating the same thing a lot because I'm like, this works. This is easy. It's quick, but it's so nice to try a new recipe from time to time.
Yeah. Maybe you can find some. I'll be happy to help you find some new standards and some new flavors.
Yeah.
I find that there are some different kinds of eaters out there. Some will not eat a leftover, so
Right.
we work with them on that. Some are happy eating the same thing every day. So that's great. Some don't like to meal prep and plan, which is really a secret to a healthy
Right.
lifestyle. And some do. So I really just work with them wherever they're at and help work on creating the healthy habits.
I love that. Yeah, me and my husband, we kind of like took up the mantle of health together at the same time. And it's been really nice because if I get kind of weary in the kitchen, he'll start cooking. And then we sort of trade out. And I feel like having that support from a spouse has been huge for me. Not having to cook two separate meals, one for him and one for me. And I don't know. It's just been so amazing to grow together in that way and to like watch ourselves hit these goals and just to be like a healthier couple because of it. you know?
Yes, that's amazing. The support is so important. You can do it without the support, but it's a lot gentler and more fun if you do have that. So I love that for you.
Yes, yes. Why is nutrition so important, and what are some signs someone may be deficient in this area?
Nutrition's important as well as, like as I mentioned before, how your digestive system's working. So chewing your food, that's where carbs start to be digested. So if you think about it, your stomach doesn't have teeth. It can't break down the food that you didn't chew, and then you're missing the nutrition out of that. If you don't have the right stomach acid or the digestive enzymes, you need some help with that. And even inflammation in your gut and food sensitivities. Again, so we really have a lot of things to look at. Nutrition to me means how your body's even utilizing it and getting the benefits of it. So some ways that show up if you're not getting proper nutrition is mood issues, weight issues, not sleeping, no energy, all the things. Those are all subtle signs of your body's it can't scream at you. Those are ways it's telling you, please give me more nutrition and live a healthier lifestyle. And as I said, the signs get louder and bigger if you don't do something about it. So take advantage of the signs. What I do, rather than just looking at one of those, if you're only focused on weight loss, you're going to miss out on all the other benefits of getting your body balanced. I want to get your body balanced so you can have all of those benefits, not just the weight, not just the sleep. Let's improve everything.
Right. I love that. I feel like that's definitely the best approach, and I found that the best or easiest weight loss is when I forget that I'm trying to lose weight and I'm just like in flow and I'm, tasting good foods and I'm exercising and I'm getting sunlight.
Yes.
Which is a big thing for me. I've noticed like in the winter with this, I've been having the winter blues a little bit and it's just been cloudy for so long. We get a couple days here and there and I just soak it in and I'm like, wow, this actually is affecting me.
I love the sun, and chemical processes happen in our skin and our bodies when sunlight hits us. So that's vital. It's part of nature. We can't cut that off, right?
Right. I know. And we've just been told more sunscreen, put the sunglasses on, like cover yourself, But I think that there's a time and a place for everything. Sure. But I also don't think we should be terrified of the sun,
No, it's part of nature and part of healing for us.
Yeah. So, another thing that was really big for me, and this was my body screaming at me, was this magnesium deficiency I was struggling with. Started having, got like this heart arrhythmia. I was having these palpitations and I went to the doctor and they were like, yeah, you're not going to die. It's fine. And they're like, it's not severe. They didn't give me any advice though. Then I'm online, I'm trying to figure it out. I thought I was a very healthy person, but there was something about the magnesium where it's really hard to get the amount that you need because of this soil depletion that we're dealing with, that our ancestors might have not had to supplement with some of these, but because of the way that we grow our food and
stress depletes our minerals as well.
Right. So it is wild to me that all I needed was to add in magnesium. I take it right before bed and I'm in that routine and I haven't had a single heart palpitation. But I thought I was dying, and the doctors were like, why don't you try magnesium? I had to find that all on my own.
Oh my gosh.
And
good for you.
Right. But I had no idea,
Magnesium is so vital for so many processes in the body, and almost everybody's deficient in it. And there are different types of magnesium that do different things. So it depends on what you're wanting. So we can deep dive into that as well, with my clients. So
right. Yeah. I think it's just harder for us, like thinking back at with our ancestors and stuff. They were so connected to the earth. They were so in harmony with each other and like the way that they were cooking and like picking the food. And it was just such a relationship to the food. Like that was their main thing.
And they had gratitude for all of that as well. Yeah, we're not connecting to the earth and getting the benefits of grounding and earthing, that's healing. Living in our homes and wearing rubber-soled shoes, we're not connecting, getting healing from the actual earth. So that's important. Eating seasonally and locally is so important to me. That's part of macrobiotics that I studied. Food is energy. I like this little phrase of, if a food is too weak to grow where you live, you eat it, it'll make you weak. It's not to say there's a time and a place for some having fun with some foods. However, pineapples don't grow in Tennessee, so that wouldn't really be an ideal food for a regular basis for you, despite whatever vitamins it might have in it and nutrients. But that the energy of that is not in tune with where you're living.
Right. And by the time it gets to you,
oh yeah,
it's
absolutely
been picked for. I was watching something on farming, and the guy was saying that like the food loses like a pretty large percentage of the nutrients after so long after it's been picked. So it's actually important to, if you have a garden, don't just pick it all right then, because, pick it if you're about to cook it right then, or give it to someone else, so that they can get the full nutrition out of it.
That's why sometimes frozen food gets a bad rap, frozen vegetables, but they're frozen with all the nutrients before they start to get depleted. So there's a place for frozen vegetables.
Yes, I definitely think so. And some of those like frozen meals and stuff, they come in handy, when you're in a bad place, you just need something quick or whatever. Or if you just want to store some things that might not be in season right then, but you want to come back to it, So I like frozen foods from time to time. I prefer fresh, but
there's a place for it, or you can freshen it up with some fresh ingredients,
like on top or spice
or in
it
a
up.
soup, or
Awesome. How has doing this work changed your life?
Well, it is my life. So it's, as I've been on this journey and it's been helping me, that's just created who I am, and being a health coach and health advocate and wanting to help others. It's helped my physical health, my spiritual health, the emotional health, made me a better friend, mother, just human, and just more connected. So it's an ongoing journey, but it's really it's been an amazing one, and continues to be.
Beautiful.
I'm the constant student. I'm always wanting to learn more, try more things as well.
Right. Yes. I love that. I have a similar energy to that too. I'm always like seeking these different things, and I learn things from so many different places, and I just love it. And it's like some of it's totally unexpected. You wouldn't even think it all connects.
And it's fun.
It is.
That's fun for me.
Right.
So I love that I get to enjoy what I'm doing and help people, and it's all fun.
Have you noticed, since you're a Reiki practitioner and also, a health coach, have you noticed a difference in certain people's energy bodies when they're, coming off of these, maybe more toxic lifestyles, and like kind of when they are crossing into more of that healthy way of being? Do you notice like certain chakras are more weighed down, or?
I 1,000% notice changes in them, and just their light, their energy. I've seen folks that when they get started, they can't even really look at me when they're talking to me, and they're kind of down. And as their body starts to release what needs to go, and they're getting filled with nutrition, they're more present. They're looking at me. They're having conversations and talking more, like a totally different personality. So it's amazing to me, and I love it how much the body, like I said, give it the tools that it needs, and it can heal, and on all levels, spiritual, energetic, physical. It's always amazing to me every time I see it.
Yeah, I love that. I used to really struggle with eye contact, and I was not nonverbal, but I basically didn't really talk a lot as a child. I had a really hard time like using my voice, or even like looking at people was really intense. And looking back, it's so interesting because I was eating a terrible diet. I wasn't really connected to the earth at all. Like no one really taught me like spirituality. And I just, I'm like, I was suffering, in a way. And now that I've put all of this focus on my diet and healing my gut, and it's like all these things that used to really hold me back, like they're not even an issue anymore.
It's so beautiful.
Like, it's crazy, you know?
And now your energy can help others, right?
Right. Yeah. So there's so much, like, there's so many levels with this healing, you know, and then looking back and thinking, oh, well, you know, I was depressed as a child because I was drinking Kool-Aid instead of water. I was eating raviolis like all the time.
I feel you on that.
You know, and so I'm like, no wonder, you know, I was sick all of the time. And, you know, it.
So you have a deeper appreciation for how good
Yes.
you feel now.
Right. And just the fact that there are people out here helping educate, because some of us were, you know, raised on these microwave dinners, and, you know, we didn't have like our moms cooking us these meals or passing down these recipes, or, you know, I remember like being 18 in my own apartment and being like, how do I make mashed potatoes? You know, how do I do this? And I would actually go and try to figure it out, but I didn't, you know, it wasn't passed down. And in some of these other cultures, it is a tradition. Like, your grandmother teaches you how to cook, and like, it's like, I don't know, it's like
part of their culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're missing that.
I know.
And I think, you know, some of us are still craving it on some level. You know?
Yeah, yes, and I see that. I see that people are ready and open to new ways of healing and doing things. And I love that I can be there as to help them.
Right. Because I think we just need a little guidance, you know, at the beginning. Make sure we're doing it right. And also make sure that we're covering all of the bases, you know, because it is hard. It's hard to know, like, what do I really need? Like, what should I eat? Because what I eat is totally different than what another person needs. And I think it gets overwhelming. So I think just having a support person, and you sit down and maybe tell them the symptoms that you're going through, or the main points that you want to adjust, and having someone that's experienced in that area coaching you it's priceless.
What I find is a big part of my consultation is, and just working with me, is listening.
Right.
I want to really hear what you're going through, hear what's important to you, get the background. Maybe no one's ever listened to you before.
Right.
So I'm there to be a supportive ear, and in turn, hold you accountable.
Right.
I call it loving accountability, because even if you know all the things to do, are you doing it?
Right.
I'm happy to provide that piece of accountability for your success.
I love that. Yes. I just had a friend share about some of the different coaches in her life, and just how vital that it's been for her, because it's in those moments where she's hitting these lows and she doesn't have the inner, you know, she's getting depressed, but she wants to meet these goals, and she wants to be better. And so she was really advocating, find a coach, whether it's fitness or health, or, you know, whatever it is that, you know, you've tried to attempt it all these times and you're failing, and, you know, but if you could just have a coach for those days when you're starting to dip down, you could reach out and say, hey, I'm really struggling. I don't know what I should be eating. I'm starting to think maybe none of this is working. And then you could be like, well, you're at that point of, you know, like when we give up sugar, there's a point. Okay. There's a point where you it will actually affect your mental health. Like, I don't think people realize, like, sugar and caffeine and some of these things, our brains are responding the same way coming off of like a drug.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
like, there was a point when I was coming off caffeine where I was like, wow, I feel really bad. You know, I feel like I was like having fear, and I was like anxiety, and I didn't even know about it. But when they start hitting those walls, like coming off of sugar, they have to start asking themselves, like, well, you know, what's going on? And you can be like, okay, 2 weeks after you give up sugar, you might start having some weird, you know, sensations.
And we can help ease you through that as well with
Yes.
some advice too.
Right. Yes. Some herbs. And I've noticed I have a tuning fork, and I'll actually use that when I'm at that point where I'm coming off of sugar or something, where I feel like I'm going through, what is it, a Herxheimer reaction or something? I think that's what they call it. But it's just, as you're like cleansing things out, and you're getting, you know, to that point where you're feeling better, it's like I don't know, it's like there's this mind-body disconnect, and the body's like, why don't we just go back, you know, and eat some sugar, and the mind's like, no, we're doing fine. And So like there's this like inner dialogue going on.
So so having tools and support during that time is vital to keep you going. And
Right.
a big part of my coaching as well is inspiration and motivation. So I'm always posting inspirational posts and sending them to my clients because that maybe they needed that day to help them through the day.
Right. Just that little bit of light in like the heaviness.
Yeah, okay, I can stay on track. I can do this. I have support. Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice. One of my best friends is, we're pretty aligned. Like she tries some different health thing. Like she's doing the ice today. She's doing like an ice dip or whatever into the water. And that's great. Like I've been slowly like putting my arms in the cold
Good.
shower recently. But we kind of like try out these different things and bounce them off of each other. And I really love
That's
having
fun.
that support in a friend, where she's studying like Wim Hof and I'm doing like Kundalini yoga. And like we get together and we share, and I'm like, okay, I might try that. I don't know. Sometimes like she's more slow to start something or I'm more slow, but I think having that motivation and just getting some new ideas.
New ideas, new things to try. Not everything's for every person, but at least here's some things to try for you. See what works for you.
Right. And the cold plunges, I mean, I can actually look at her and see a difference. Like she glows, her skin,
That's
like
so
she looks
good.
younger. And I'm like, maybe I should try this. But I've just been, my bath is such a sacred time for me to be warm. I'm a very cold natured person. So I have done it. Like if I get in and I'm feeling pretty good, I'll end with the cold. But if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, nope, I'm not doing the cold bath today. So it's balance.
It is balance, and a big part of Wim Hof is the breathing technique. So that's a whole other thing we can talk about. There are so many modalities and things people can do to feel better and to heal. So I love offering all of the options and let them really feel what works for them. There's so much confusing information out there. Conflicting information is this food bad? Is this a superfood? Is this bad? Is this? And I really like to help clear that up, and we just figure out what works for you.
Right. And there's different times, where something might be good for you and sometimes not. There was a point where I had to slow down on kombucha when I was doing a cleanse, and because it was actually making me feel dizzy. And I don't know. It was really weird because I had been drinking it on and off for a long time, then started working on this like parasite cleanse, which was
That's powerful.
it was hard. Okay. It was like 2 years of my life, like on and off. And it helped a lot, but something about drinking kombucha was setting me off. And my acupuncturist was like, this is what I wish people would consider, that just because kombucha is healthy or just any food, something that's healthy might not be what you actually need in that particular moment.
Yes.
So it was exacerbating my symptoms.
Yeah, and there is sugar in kombucha.
Oh, okay.
Even though it's fermented, some more than others. So, like I said, I never look at the front of things. I always read the label. That's my
Right.
if that's one thing I can get across, I'll be happy.
Right.
But even something that was healthy for you a year ago, that's not what you need anymore. It's always time to keep changing, keep growing and flowing, eating seasonally and learning to listen to your body. And that's another piece of getting quiet, not necessarily meditating, but being quiet, having some time to self-reflect and decrease your stress, because that's when you can start getting messages and hearing what your body's telling you. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of people to sit with themselves, but that's all the more reason to do it, actually. Right. So that alone is healing. So there's so many ways.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of how I came about the caffeine, needing to get off of it. It's just like my body is like, you can't keep doing this to me. Like, I'm tired. Stop giving me coffee when I'm tired. And it was like, I'm going to make you feel crazy if you drink that coffee. And I was just like, just even holding it, like not even drinking it, my body was like reacting. Wow. And it was like shaking. And it was like, please don't drink that coffee.
We listened.
Right. But it took me a while to realize, wow, maybe this is the bulk of my anxiety. It's because every time my body wants to rest, instead of taking like 10 minutes to go upstairs and just lay there for a minute. And that's what I've been doing. Like after I eat, I actually go just sort of rest for like 10 minutes. I'm not like fully laying down, but just closing my eyes or whatever, and I'll find that I have more energy.
Well, you're
after
allowing the
that.
digestion process to happen as well. So like eating standing up, that's not great. You're not sitting in a
Right.
position to be nourished. There's just some basic elements like that to consider as well.
Right. And I think we just, like you were saying, chewing the food, we're on these lunch breaks and we're like, well, I'm going to do like 10 other things in my lunch break. So I'm going to shove the sandwich down as quick as I can. And, I've realized along the way that I didn't have a healthy relationship to food, that I actually didn't enjoy the process of eating. And I'm like, oh, to just get energy so I can go back to what I'm doing. But that's where a lot of the gut stuff was happening, right? Because I like not chewing or just not being mindful of my mental state when I'm eating. So if I'm feeling like rushed and then I'm in fight or flight and then I'm eating, then my body does not digest it as easily.
Absolutely. You're not allowing the process to happen. There's so many little techniques like not drinking when you eat and sitting and allowing the time for digestion and smelling your food and looking at it. Digestion starts when you're cooking it or looking at it or smelling it so that your stomach knows what digestive enzymes to release from what you smelled. So
Right.
it's quite a process that we don't honor it at all really, very much anymore. So
Right.
that's part of our life is eating how we eat in that whole process. And that's a big piece of health.
Right. Right. That's so interesting to think about. Like my generation on the frozen foods or canned foods is that you don't really smell them until right beforehand. And you're cooking them, they're blasting them, in the microwave for 15 seconds or whatever. And then you might get a smell. I don't know.
Is it even real? Yeah.
Right. Is it even real? I mean, that's another thing. When I'm like studying all this, I'm like, this food doesn't have any nutrients in it. A lot of these cereals and
It's altered and it's food-like substance, right?
right. But, that's just it started at some point. I think of like Mad Men and I go back to like that era and I'm like, I feel like it was on these guys because they were like all caught up on the what was on the box, and not what was in the box.
Yeah, the front's marketing. Look at the label. I always say that.
Yeah. I'm all about the labels too because of the allergies.
Yeah.
And that's made me even more aware. I'm like, why are they putting this in here? And it makes no sense why they're adding certain things to the food.
Well, there are some of the substances are addictive and keep you coming back to the products. That's marketing, I guess, as well. I know there's nothing in my house that I haven't read the label on. Like I have to approve it. Then I don't worry about my choices at home so much.
I do think that's important, just not bringing it in. If it's not there,
that's half of it. Then if it's not there, then you'll find a way to make a treat or dessert with what you've got.
Right.
With healthy ingredients. Yeah, home cooking is actually a big piece of healing. And it's whatever degree that is for you, but that's what I work on my clients with is how can you at least improve on your home cooking and get that more of a habit. Some people really take to it and some people find a way to compromise and make it work for them. We just get customized to your particular lifestyle, but definitely get some healing habits going.
Yeah. I just, I don't always love cooking, but I find if I can like set the mood, set the intention, put a record on, and kind of clean as I go, then, because I think that a lot of it was getting overwhelmed with all these dishes at the end. So lately I've been doing more about like, okay, this part's done. I'm going to go ahead and rinse that dish and get it out of the way and start, but my husband does not cook this way. And I come in there and I'm like, whoa, like you have not been cleaning at all. And and then it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm a clean as you go girl because I don't want to have that overwhelm at the end.
Right.
I enjoy my meal better knowing that I've mostly cleaned up already.
Yes, me too. That was like a life hack for me.
Yes.
So, and then just singing and having fun, like.
But that energy's getting into your food, right?
Yes.
It's a whole other topic. But, if you eat out, you're getting whoever was cooking that energy, who knows what's going on in their life. But you're cooking at home, you're giving you and your family your loving energy. Food is energy. It's everywhere. It's in your food. So being conscious of that is another way to affect your health.
Right. Yes. When I was doing a Reiki class, there was the suggestion that you could put it in the food. And that really did change the way I was viewing other people cooking for me, or like
Mm-hmm.
when I was in like I'm just cooking and I'm in a bad mood and I'm like, okay, my blood sugar is dropping and now I'm already hangry, but okay, start before you're hangry, and just really saying, okay, I eat around this time. It's like my body now it feels safe because it's like she's gonna feed us. We always eat around
Oh,
this
that's
time,
beautiful.
But
Yeah.
there was a point where I was waiting tables and stuff. You're just shoveling a cracker in, like because you're about to drop. It's just not healthy.
It's really important to have those healthy snacks around. Eat that protein at your breakfast and set the day. Get started right. It makes a big deal. It's a big effect on your hormones for the day. It helps your cortisol to drop so your melatonin can pick up at night. When you eat and what you eat and how much really is important to your whole health.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as women, it's a little, we operate a little bit different than men. So I've noticed at certain points in my cycle, I have to eat a little bit more. Like if I don't, like I'll have this just lingering hunger, and it's like I need to add. That's when I'll let myself have like a little bit of like dark chocolates, or just things that I don't allow most of the time. There's points in my cycle where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna allow more heavier meals.
I
I'm
love
gonna
that you're listening to your body.
Right,
And it
yeah.
feels right for you, right?
Yes. And I mean, it's like just experimenting. That's how I've gotten to where I'm at, is just experimenting.
You've had a lot of opportunities, right?
Yes.
And it is just like learning anything, learning about your body and what works. It is an experiment. We're our own experiment, but that can be fun, and especially with the end result of a better working, balanced body and a feeling better in your own skin and having the energy to live the life you want. I love helping women with their health because I'm not just helping them. They're the role model. Their kids can see, wow,
Right.
it's okay for mom to take care of herself and eat right and exercise and be that role model. And then they have more energy to enjoy their lives.
Right. I've been thinking more about, well, I had this weird memory of my grandma just hating the fact that I pierced my ears. And she's like, the body's a temple. But she was eating like this terrible food and stuff like that. And I was kind of giggling at myself the other day, thinking about it, how we pick up on these like rules or these sayings that we've heard. And we're like, okay, so we don't pierce it, right? Or we don't tattoo it. But I'm like, if the body's the temple, I don't think it's just what we put on it. I think it's how we're taking care of it, internally.
Yes.
And that's equally, maybe if not more important, is what we're doing to the inside.
Again, it's that holistic approach. Like, well, I'll do this for my body, but not this.
Right.
Like it just look at the whole picture. And when you do that, lots of little habits and things make a big effect if you're consistent with a lot of little things. It doesn't have to be a drastic, dramatic detox or totally change how you live and eat. A lot of little changes will let the body start healing, and then that leads you to the next healthy thing because you're feeling better and ready for the next thing. So again, different approaches for different people, but there's a lot that could be done with baby steps.
Right. I think for most people, giving up soda, like if they could just give up soda and find something else, that's not full of sugar, and high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, and some people, some clients, they're like, well, we're going to cut your sodas in half. Like
Okay,
for them,
that's good, yeah.
like they can't handle more than that. And that's great for them. And then they start feeling better and like, okay, well
Right.
now maybe I will give up. It's at their pace.
Right. Yes. I feel like that was a big thing for me, is cutting sodas and drinking water. Like it's just something that wasn't really taught to me. I just wasn't thinking about the water at all. And then like, where's the water coming from? And
Well, that's important too. Yeah, we have to, if you don't flush the toxins out, I mean, your organs need the fluids to function. And then if you don't flush out the toxins, well, then they're not leaving you and
Right.
everything's not working how it's supposed to. So it's so basic and we all know it, but do we all really do it? Do we really drink enough or take
Right.
note? It's something that I like to be a reminder for.
Is there any general health advice that you could share with people, and some steps that they could start taking to improve their overall health?
Honestly, the biggest effect on most people's health would be to find some stress relief. It affects every aspect. If you are stressed and in fight or flight mode, your digestion's not working, your immune system's not getting worked on, your gut health isn't getting worked on, your mental health, so many things. Finding time throughout the day to just step away, take some deep breaths, do some stretches, go for a walk, get your cortisol level down because it's so destructive, it's so catabolic to the body. That alone is the biggest tip that I could give. And then allowing to release some of the inflammatory foods, so sugar, processed foods, lessening those, and just notice how your body reacts to that.
Yes. I think it's so interesting. We kind of talked about this, like changing the palate. How when you give up sugar, fruit, like if you give up like the artificial sugar, like the fruit, the sugar, the natural sugars taste so much more intense. So if I'm eating sugar and I eat fruit, I don't appreciate it as much. But if I'm off the sugar for long enough, when I eat like an orange, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But I don't taste it the same way.
I had a client a few weeks into cutting out sugar. And he was like, I asked him if he noticed anything different about things taste. He was like, no. He goes, I had the best strawberries though. I was like, well, I think the reason you're tasting that sweet is because you've cut out all that sweetness and sugar that you've been having. And I love when people enjoy their food more. Yes. And then they're open to eating vegetables and other things they maybe weren't before.
Right. Yes, for sure. And then I think just, eliminating certain things, and it sort of forces you to learn some new recipes or try different things. So the Whole30 was so good for me because it helped me learn how to cook from scratch, because there's basically no cheating, because they do have a couple like soups you could just buy, if you're on like the run and you need something quick. But for the most part, I had to figure out how to cook. I'd never cook like spaghetti squash or whatever, but you want to supplement some of these meals that you love, yes, but in a healthy way. So I actually found it to be really beneficial to like almost force myself to say, you have to figure it out. You cannot go to these easy, reliable foods that you've been going to. You need to taste some different things. You need to try vegetables you've never bought before, and just feeling it out. And I think it's worked. So I've been about 2 years where I've been almost, doing a Whole30 leg diet.
That's so awesome. You're right. It's an opportunity. It's all your perception, right? It's an opportunity to try some new foods, get some new tastes, find some new things that you like, and get some great nutrition that way.
Right. And it's just like, you actually learn how to cook, because I didn't really, I was just winging stuff here and there. And it's just so nice to branch out and try some of these other things. I mean, I remember the first time I had an organic carrot. I was like, this is amazing. But I realized the reason I wasn't in love with carrots is because I would always get those baby carrots. They've been soaked in chemicals because they peeled them and then they've been in the refrigerator for 2 months, and they're just...
Baby carrots really don't grow in nature like that.
Right. But I remember being like, these are so bland, and just not loving carrots. And then I started doing like some of this juicing. Mm-hmm. And then it really increased my love for carrots because I started buying organic carrots and I was eating them all the time, and to the point where I almost was like a little orange of it.
I've seen that.
And maybe a little too much carrots, but I just couldn't believe that I'd never actually had an organic carrot, and that just blew my mind. But it's just, that's the culture, right? We get, this is easy. It's already prepackaged. I'm just going to buy this. I don't have to peel it later,
So again, just realizing what a huge piece of our health is the food, what type it is, how we prepare it, the season, all of those things. And you made that a priority for yourself, and now you're getting the benefits of it.
Yes, for sure. What are some of the different programs that you offer?
So, well, like I said, it's very customized. Mm-hmm. As I listen to you and hear your goals and what you've gone through and what you want to accomplish, it's really just a customized program.
Right.
It's meeting with me on a regular basis, sometimes in person, but often telehealth. Can really meet with anybody anywhere in the world. And have those accountability check-ins. I have lots of resources depending on what you're looking for, and we'll set up goals, check in on those, and hold you accountable and give you the resources you need to thrive, really.
Yeah. Do you ever do like challenges or, work with people in that way?
Sometimes I did have a little, there's a little like a bonus point challenge that if you do certain things, you give yourself points, and you can have a challenge like that. I will be coming up soon doing a 7-day healthy habits challenge. That's available free to everyone. So I'll be doing that through my Facebook page.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we wrap up?
I would really like people to know that they do have the power and ability to change their health. You're not stuck where you are. There are people who can help you, and just trust your body and know that it can heal. And if you can just put yourself out there to try some new things and be open, you can heal.
That's so beautiful. We have the power within us.
Yes, we do.
All right. What's the best way for our listeners to follow you or connect with you?
You can connect with me through my Facebook page and Instagram, Jill Hahn Health, or you can send me an email at jillhahnhealth@gmail.com.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you. This has been wonderful.
Yes, I love this. And thank you all for tuning in. Check us out next time on the Astral Hour.